The vast Mali Empire remains one of history's most powerful, but least known, great African kingdoms at its medieval peak. Yet Mansa Musa brought this West African nation international fame through extravagant displays of wealth and devotion to Islam, spanning from glittering Timbuktu to the ports of Mecca and Cairo. His vision elevated Mali into a center of prestige and trade between Africa's Atlantic interior and the Islamic civilizations flourishing across the Mediterranean. You're watching Conceptua Learning's Crashing Economies with Generosity, Mansa Musa's legendary story. Chapter 1: Dawn of an Emperor. Mansa Musa descends from a long line of Mali Empire royalty. His grandfather Abu Bakr fails to produce a male heir, so the throne skips his own father and passes to Musa's well-regarded uncle, Emperor Abu Bakari I, upon Abu Bakr's passing in 1270. Mansa Musa thus grows up within the Golden Palace, watching his uncle deftly navigate complex political waters to manage the sprawling empire. He receives an elite education befitting royalty exposed to statecraft from youth. Abu Bakari rules for over 2 decades until embarking on an ambitious maritime journey into the mysterious Atlantic Ocean in search of new lands to expand his empire's swelling coffers even further. Abu Bakari disappears sometime after 1311 during this voyage, lost to the seas but immortalized in legend for his visionary, if fatal, quest. No clear line of succession is in place. Civil war festers briefly before a compromise. Musa, as former Emperor Abu Bakari's nephew and governor of a western province, is offered the throne with another nephew, Mansa Abu Bakr, appointed to jointly rule. This awkward two-emperor arrangement lasts only 4 short years. Mansa Abu Bakr seeks to consolidate power solely for himself, closing trade to Musa's fiefdom while launching raids along Musa's borders. Sensing his moment has arrived, Mansa Musa makes strategic alliances with rivals, also impacted by Abu Bakr's thirst for unilateral control over the empire. Musa deposes Abu Bakr in 1312, then adopts the title of Mansa, meaning emperor. After navigating bloodlessly through palace intrigue, Mansa Musa's courage and calculated cunning pays off. At long last, he controls an empire poised for even greater heights under his calculated leadership alone. The golden riches of Mali will help ensure his name and legacy echo through history as an enlightened emperor. Chapter 2: The Art of Empire. As emperor, Musa knows he must move swiftly and strategically to consolidate control while potential threats still doubt his strength. He recalls the lessons of his esteemed predecessor Sundiata Keita in building alliances through marriage and reward for loyalty. He weds daughters from the courts of 2 highly influential nearby kingdoms, securing cautious neutrality on his borders from formerly hostile neighbors. Within the Mali core, he must win over still influential animist leaders and build devotion from Muslim constituents. Mansa Musa publicly converts animist leaders mostly by persuasion, showering those cooperating with gifts and governor positions that retain dignity and local authority. Those resisting conversion, however, find their captured warriors sold into slavery, while daughters are married off to Musa loyalists to quell future rebellion. Year by year, Mansa Musa patiently binds the sprawling empire closer through such acts of cunning statecraft, wielding a velvet glove filled alternately with gold and iron, depending on the hand extended to him in return. Simultaneously, he funds an unprecedented expansion in Quranic schools and grand regional mosques to signal Islamic education as the path forward for the empire. He pilfers extensive knowledge from distinguished scholars made to settle in the kingdom. Poets and architects erect universities and impressive mud mosques, while leading citizens journey to Mecca for Hajj, pilgrimage in his name, returning with even greater glory for Mali. Through such feats, Mansa Musa caps his early reign by ensuring political stability and social order through faith and fear, cultivated in equal measure as needed. Muslim ally or agnostic animist. All must understand who wields true power and authority. Chapter 3. Journey of Splendor. As Mansa Musa's early rule sets firm foundations politically, he turns towards spearheading a cultural transformation mirroring his personal devotion to Islam. Musa becomes a pious student of the Quran, relying on his deepening wisdom to manage challenges within his realm. His first act is a pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324 for the Hajj, the holy voyage all Muslims aspire towards once in life. But Musa does not travel like any common man. As befitting an emperor overseeing a kingdom bursting at the seams in golden riches, his caravan numbers over 60,000 subjects, court advisors, soldiers, slaves, common citizens, and family members. Over 4 long months, this human river winds through the vast Sahara. Musa establishes diplomatic ties in the territories he crosses, funding the construction of mosques every place he camps to spread word of Mali's glory. Cairo itself braces in awe as they gape at Musa's wealth when he arrives en route to Mecca further east, camels bearing bags bursting with gold, common slaves adorned in lavish silks. Mansa Musa leaves such fantastic tales of his boundless generosity across every Egyptian village and town that the nationwide economy implodes for years after his sojourn from the sudden gold influx. 12,000 slaves accompanies Musa from Cairo alone before reaching Mecca to complete his epic successful journey. His return sees Musa import Egypt's wisest Islamic architects, astronomers, and poets to develop esteemed universities in Mali's leading cities, like Timbuktu. Mansa Musa's exceptional Hajj leaves powerful memories etched across the Middle East, forever marking Mali as the equal of any North African power within the Islamic world through wealth, faith, and knowledge. Word of his luminous pilgrimage journey spreads on merchant tongues to distant Spain and across every town from Marrakesh to Baghdad. There exists a rising African kingdom flexing its might and influence. None before or since make such a lavish statement of authority and sophistication. Chapter 4. Architectural Renaissance. Returning in 1324 from his epic Meccan pilgrimage with some of Egypt's foremost architects and engineers, Mansa Musa sets bold plans in motion to transform Mali into a gleaming exemplar of an African Islamic state. Construction begins on regal mosques, libraries, and universities in the empire's bustling urban centers, importing marble and wood from afar. The Jingareba Mosque of Timbuktu, crafted from mud brick and palm wood mixed with quartz, stands tall enough for the entire city to view when the muezzin sings the exotic call to prayer. The Sankora Madrasa library in that city swells with thousands of manuscripts as the premier center of higher Islamic study south of the Sahara. Advanced understanding of mathematics, astronomy, literature, and jurisprudence takes hold under distinguished scholars migrating to bask under Musa's generous patronage. Although not all learning comes from abroad, the intricately unique Sudano-Sahelian architectural style arises blending North African elements with local African techniques, as artisans fuse cultural influences to create an original form. This golden age sees Fulani craft elaborate wood carvings, while Soninka builders adorn mosques in seashells and oxidized copper. Stunning earthen mosques multiply in Musa's name, housing this flowering of homegrown African advancement. The foundations laid under Mansa Musa's guidance in support of artistic brilliance, paired with Islamic ideals, still stand tall in present times as enduring symbols of the kingdom's classical height, reflected in the structures rising toward the heavens. Chapter 5: Governance and Prosperity. As Mansa Musa's grand architectural projects take form, equally impressive administration machinery churns governing Mali's complex functioning. Musa oversees all crucial affairs from a lavish palace in the capital Niamey. But he delegates considerable authority to provincial governors he trusts, monitoring their loyalty through an extensive network of spies. Beneath provincial authorities, a strata of magistrates and village leaders maintains order according to a blending of Islamic law and local customs, enforcing tax collection critical for Musa's ambitious expansionist policies. Royal secretaries handle written correspondence with regional vassals and foreign nations. Musa engages in extensive diplomacy and trade. The fantastically wealthy gold salt trade joins a connected supply chain feeding the royal palace down to common citizens. State revenues fill coffers further through taxes extracted from citizens, ranging from flat fees yearly to levies upon goods entering bustling Timbuktu markets. Mansa Musa's justice is swift and harsh upon any threatening lawfulness in his realms. Daily life for common villagers means engaging in skilled trades as masons, leather workers, and armorers for the royal cavalry. The majority sustain through farming, cattle herding, or fishing. Life blossoms along the lush Niger River Valley as agricultural production booms, feeding swelling cities like Timbuktu, where 400,000 inhabit by Musa's demise. For Mali's elite and royal relatives, life holds far greater luxury, of course. But stability and prosperity reaches even simple commoners in the lands Musa rules over. Chapter 6: Crossroads of Trade. Mali's explosive rise owes thanks in large part to Mansa Musa's stewardship over extensive trade networks, increasingly binding West Africa to the Islamic world, and by sea to points as far-flung as Spain and India. Rich gold fields and Musa's control over the Saharan salt-copper trade place him in an economic choke point craved by Mediterranean rulers, unable to source such valuable commodities natively. He capitalizes fully on this leverage. Cairo, Barcelona, and Granada's gold-hungry kings must bend their knees in diplomatic ties with Mali to access such resources. In exchange, migrations of Muslim merchants and exiles seeking opportunity open up channels to import fine cloth, books, and steel tools from across Africa's northern shores and boundless Middle East horizons, raising quality of life through transforming technologies. Timbuktu rapidly ascends into the prosperous nexus point where bustling trade routes north converge with Atlantic commerce rafting down the Niger's fertile banks. Hundreds of thousands inhabit the thriving port city, exchanging salt for gold and kola nuts, leaving European visitors agape at such overflowing wealth seemingly rooted from little but sand and sun. Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to splendid Mecca opens the door to bring little Mali and its bullion out from isolation and obscurity, forever integrating its people into the Islamic world, rapidly modernizing along the Mediterranean and Middle East. His leadership ushers in a prosperous golden age, still impacting Africa in the present day. Chapter 7: Legacy and Decline. After a long and prosperous reign spanning over 25 years, Mansa Musa dies in 1332, a beloved and feared ruler, leaving behind an empire at its glittering peak, spanning 1,000,000 square miles and laden with gold. Yet the strain of holding together such a vast expanse in medieval age ultimately exhausts Mali after less than another century of primacy. Mansa Musa divides rule between his two heirs to encourage cooperation, but the brothers clash while conniving uncles and generals smell weakness, dividing factions further. Musa's namesake grandson Mansa Magan attempts consolidating authority in the 1360s by purging disloyal family, but court intrigues increasingly dictate policies. As Mali slowly destabilizes over following decades, opportunistic neighbors annex undefended outskirts. Tuareg nomads and Wolof people break away, raising trade posts, while empire soldiers instinctively close ranks to defend the historic Niger River heartland where dynasties arose. Without risk-taking visionaries like Musa expanding reach abroad, Mali under his descendants turned further inward as gold mines run dry. By 1500, Mali lacks the power or prestige exerted under its vigilant emperor, but the cultural imprint and architectural monuments Musa stamped brilliantly, shifting Mali's place in the world, permanently endure as his testament long after the kingdom's contraction. Chapter 8: Enduring Legacy. Although the vast Mali Empire declines in the century after Mansa Musa's death, his legacy stands almost unrivaled as an African ruler. The images of Musa's glittering 14th century imperial golden wealth leave an enduring symbol of Africa's potential as more sophisticated than merely a dark continent bountiful in resources alone. Musa's Hajj caravan numbers 60,000, more than 5 times the pilgrims accompanying Columbus exploring the Atlantic 130 years later. Modern adjustments ranking historic kings by wealth place Musa as the richest ruler in all history, given West Africa's vast reserves in his age. More meaningfully, Mansa Musa crucially facilitates trade partnerships and cultural bridges between Africa and the Islamic worlds, thriving across the Mediterranean and Middle East, ending prolonged isolation. Timbuktu's Sankore University flourishes as a respected epicenter of elevated African education, drawing intellects from afar to thrive in centers of excellence Musa envisioned. Mansa Musa ruled at the crossroads of introduction, early gunpowder weapons, revolutionizing warfare in Africa as in Europe and the Middle East alike. Yet he wisely chose cultural weapons instead, devout Islamic faith leveraged through education and economic ties, binding his rule to wealthy powers abroad. Mansa Musa's foresight helped ensure lasting reverence for both the man and his fabulous kingdom, still striking awe today.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to discover more intriguing content, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Your thoughts and feedback are valuable to us. Don't forget to turn on notifications for conceptual learning to stay updated on our latest videos. Until next time, keep exploring and learning.